At 65 years old, one man had exactly $105 to his name, his entire Social Security check. No company, no employees, nothing but a recipe and an old car. 10 years later, his face would be recognized on tens of thousands of storefronts around the world. This isn't a fairy tale. This actually happened. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. There's a quote I think everyone should hear at least once, especially on the days you catch yourself thinking, it's probably too late for me now. It comes from C.S. Lewis, the author of the Chronicles of Narnia. You are never too old to set another goal or to dream a new dream. Sounds inspiring, but is it actually true in real life? In this video, I'm going to walk you through 3 real, verifiable stories. 3 people who reached an age society tells us is too late to start, and proved the opposite. Stick around until the end, because the 3rd story reveals something most people never think about. Let's get into it. Story 1. Harland Sanders. From broke at 65 to a global fried chicken empire. If you've ever eaten KFC, you know this face. White beard, black bow tie, white suit. That's Harland Sanders. But before he became the famous Colonel, his life was one long string of restarts. He worked on the railroad, got fired. He taught himself law and became a lawyer. That career ended after a courtroom brawl with his own client. He sold insurance, got let go. He ran a gas station and served food to travelers. It burned down. He opened a restaurant in Kentucky. Then a new highway got built, and it rerouted every driver away from his door. By age 65, the restaurant was closed, and he had almost nothing left. Most people at this age have already retired, living off a pension, done with the idea of starting something new. Sanders wasn't most people. He believed his secret blend of 11 herbs and spices for fried chicken was worth something. The problem? Nobody else agreed. Yet. So he did something almost nobody at 65 would attempt. He got in his car and drove across the country, restaurant by restaurant, personally cooking his chicken for owners to taste, and pitching a simple deal. Sell chicken his way, and he'd take a few cents per plate as a royalty. By most accounts, he was turned down more than 1,000 times before a single restaurant said yes. 1,000 rejections. At 65 years old, would you have kept going? He did. And that franchise model, cook it his way, share the profit, became the foundation of Kentucky Fried Chicken, later known simply as KFC. Today, the brand operates in over 145 countries, with tens of thousands of locations. The most striking part of Sanders' story isn't that he succeeded. It's that he started after everything he'd built had already collapsed. He didn't have some leftover dream from his youth to chase. He built an entirely new one, at an age society told him to slow down. Story 2. Ingalls Wilder. One of America's most beloved authors published her first book at 65. Story 2 isn't about money or business. It's about a quiet dream that took decades to surface. Ingalls Wilder grew up in a pioneer family on the American frontier in the late 1800s, the very world she'd later write about. At just 16, she started working as a teacher to help support her family. But teaching was never really where she belonged. She admitted herself that the job never quite fit. After marrying her husband, Almanzo, the couple focused on farming. Life for a rural woman in that era left little room for personal passions. Still, she found time to write, small pieces for local farming magazines, sharing stories about agricultural life and family. Then the Great Depression hit in the 1930s. The American economy collapsed, and their farm was hit hard. And in the middle of that hardship, her daughter, also a writer, encouraged her to attempt something bigger, a novel, drawn from her own childhood memories of pioneering the American West. Laura was already in her 60s. She had never written a book in her life. Picture it. After a lifetime of teaching, farming, raising a family, at an age when most people are thinking about grandchildren and retirement, she sat down to write her very first book. In 1932, at age 65, Little House in the Big Woods was published. It became the opening chapter of the Little House on the Prairie series, one of the most influential and beloved works of children's literature in American history, later adapted into a television series that ran for decades. What makes Laura's story different from Sanders's is this: she didn't fail and rebuild. She simply never had the chance to try, until she was 65. And when the chance finally arrived, she didn't say, "It's too late for me now." She picked up the pen. Story 3. Wally Blume. Walking away from 20 stable years to create a legendary ice cream flavor. The final story isn't about being backed into a corner like Sanders, or a lifelong dream deferred like Laura's. It's about a deliberate choice to change direction, made while everything was still going well. Wally Blume had spent nearly 20 years building a successful career in the ice cream industry. He knew the business inside and out. He had experience, stability, standing. Exactly the kind of safe zone a lot of people spend their whole careers chasing. Then his employer decided to pursue an idea he didn't believe in at all. A flavor so unconventional that even he found it hard to stomach. That's when he realized this wasn't the path he wanted to keep walking. In 1995, at nearly 50 years old, an age when most people choose stability over risk, Wally Blume walked away from his job and started his own company, Denali Flavors. He didn't have a massive empire to fall back on, just experience, a few ideas, and the belief that he could do better standing on his own. And what he created became legendary. Moose Tracks, vanilla ice cream swirled with fudge and peanut butter cups. Today, it's one of the best-selling ice cream flavors in America, licensed and sold under dozens of different brands nationwide. Wally Blume's story differs from the first two in one key way. Nothing forced his hand. He could have stayed on the safe, stable path for the rest of his career. Instead, he chose to set a new goal, not because he had no other option, but because he believed he deserved to chase something he actually believed in. Conclusion and takeaway. 3 stories, 3 completely different circumstances. Harland Sanders started over after losing everything. Laura Ingalls Wilder started after a lifetime of never getting the chance. Wally Blume started while everything was still stable, simply because he wanted more. None of them were young, none of them had a safe, pre-drawn path waiting for them. But all 3 shared one thing. When the opportunity, or the necessity, showed up, they didn't let age be the reason to say no. C.S. Lewis's quote isn't just a feel-good line for inspirational posters. It's a proven truth, backed up again and again by real people. So, is there a dream you've been putting off just because you think it's too late now? Drop it in the comments. I'd genuinely like to hear it. If this video gave you even a little bit of motivation today, hit like and subscribe so you don't miss the next story. See you in the next one.